And welcome back to our plenary speaker session with the new room. Okay, so let's continue this session with Widow Voice, Transcending Space, Time, and Artistic Boundaries. The Widow Voice, derived from the voice of Widow Island, is an innovative hybrid music festival that embraces digital technologies aiming to address the sustainability concerns surrounding traditional festivals in the wake of COVID-19. So let's hear more about it from Dr. Boram Lee. Please welcome.
So good afternoon, everyone. Really lovely to meeting you all. I'm really honored to present about the case study of WIDOVOCE, which is the only festival that exists that targeting for 21st century, transcending space and time. Since the dawn of time, human beings have found ways to mark important events in their life. It could be the changing of the seasons, the phases of the moon, and the renewal of life each spring. I'm going to share the first voice from Widow.
칠산 바다로 돈 실러 가자 칠산 바다 들어오는 조기 우리 배 마장에 다 떠실었다 오동초야 달 밝은 밤에 안한판 대물에 불꽃이 떴다
So we had an amazing experience of visiting his house. That he has two sons who works with him as a fisherman. But the widow, which is 14.6 kilometers away from the mainland, takes hours to get to. From Seoul, you have to take maybe a car driving for 4 hours. Then at the Jokpo port, you have to take ferry to get to Wido about an hour. So as you can see, it's not very accessible. And most of all, the fishing industry is dying. So mainly, the Wido is an island that is aging and shrinking and disappearing from our attention. There's only 800 people living in Wido Island. When you compare it to 25 million people live near Seoul and outskirts of Seoul, you can see the inequality of development. We are not specific to Wido for our festival. However, Wido have given us motivation where to start from. What voices we'd like to share? What voices would like to deliver? What art form can we reimagine through the human's voice? That's where we have started. So Wido has given us motivation, the symbolic value that there's something for us to remember. And we'd like to make sure that music can be shared to every part of the world. The birth of WIDOVOCE as a festival was really impressed by the COVID-19. Of course, it was a pandemic, and it was an unprecedented experience we have never had before. However, it alarmed us that our traditional ways might not be valid in the near future. So when we are thinking of festival, there is always a big gathering of the people. In South Australia, where I come from, the festival has been defined as a celebration of something that local community wishes to share and involve a public as participants in the experience. Festivals must have a prime objective as a maximum amount of people participation, which must be an experience that is different from the broader than day-to-day living. It's not necessary to extend hands-on experience by more than one day, though it is often economically desirable. When you're looking at festivals, it has become the mechanism for money-making or development for the cultural tourism. That has always been the focus on attracting as many people as possible. However, during the COVID-19, we saw that it wasn't possible. We weren't able to gather. We weren't able to get together and celebrate what we meant to celebrate. So WIDOVOCE is the voice of Widow Island. We'd like to reimagine the festival. What can we do when we can't gather? What can we do when we can't celebrate together? So we came up with this idea of hybrid form of festival. We have both physical and virtual offering of our program. In 2022, we have delivered the first ever WIDOVOCE festival. Only 20 audiences were invited to come to the to Ireland. So they were able to come and enjoy the festival in a small scale with the artist from local areas as well as traveling from Seoul. But then what they were able to do is that they were able to form a community, that you were able to make friends among people that you have never met before and have dinner with the artist. And also, they were able to visit local people who are all fishing people. They're offering a meal, dine at home, so you can enjoy the traditional local foods. But then, we didn't want to stop there. We'd like to share the experience and the affection that they have developed with a broader community. So they have archived every aspect of their experience on digital platform. So when you're thinking about those traditional characteristics of festivals, often we only had one chance to experience it. And then that chance disappeared. It didn't last. And then it had massive gathering of people, and then they were expecting for us to get to interact to each other. And often when you are limited to that certain space and time, and it was expensive for us to travel to. But WIDOVOCE have broken down all these stereotypes and challenged the biases people had about what festival should be. So virtual platform of WIDOVOCE enable access that you can have every day, and also you can have that content permanently. The value is there. You can enjoy yourself or with your friends, or you can also share that with other people. There is a digital engagement, but also you can create community online. Now the WIDOVOCE can reach anywhere in the world, and also any number of people we can embrace. It's also economic, so it's sustainable. So we are radically reimagining what can be accessible and sustainable festival of 21st century. Most importantly, we didn't want to lose the spirit of festival. When we're talking about festivals, we talk about liminality. Liminality is the once in a time that you are in limbo. You're neither there nor here. You can only enjoy the festival when you are there. When you're there, the time disappears. It's a time out of time. That you are enjoying fully of the atmosphere, being yourself, interacting with the people nearby. That moment of liminality, it's the time we make our community, so-called communitas. The community expect you to have deep connection with each other, and we can do so because we have something in common. We have all love of music. That's the music festival we are intending to, that creates the community that link all the like-minded people together, whether physically or virtually. The growth stage. So WIDOVOCE is still evolving, and it's our experiment of creating a platform that can, intersect different genre of arts and also the interest of different generations. As you can see, we have also connected visiting musicians from outside of the island to come and make music and perform for the local communities. You can see there's a huge generation gap when you look at, the younger generation of the island is in their 60s. But then we'd like to try how we can share this spirit of festival and recreate that spirit to the broader audiences. So this group of artists, they came to WIDO and they performed. And what we have done, we have recorded their live performances and shared those performances online. But also, we have created a QR code that anybody who visits WIDO can come and watch the performance. As you can see, there's no separation because you can see the local audiences have their mobile phone with them, and then they were trying to access to the QR code so they can watch what they have, what we have recorded in WIDO. So we are open for you to suggest us how to expand further and make this festival even more accessible and sustainable. The concept of WIDO doesn't remain only in WIDO. There's many voices we'd like to hear and share. So WIDOVOCE can travel around the world and to invite you to also share your voices. So at the end, of course, we'd like to keep asking ourselves, can we deliver the performance on a virtual platform as realistic as possible in the real life? That question actually is really hard to answer. We have advanced technology, virtual reality, augmented reality. We can try our best to manipulate our visions, our hearing, but I think the WIDOVOCE is delivering the message. It's really your empathy that we are asking for this festival to last and to travel around. So if you're interested, please come and visit our website and join us to this movement of sharing the love of music. Thank you. Can I take any questions if you have? Yes, please.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Another Australian. How about that? That's not all I wanted to say. So you talked about the particular and maybe in a sense limited kind of demographic and character of the island and the inhabitants. So is that the specificity of the kind of the character and the demographic and all that goes with it? Is that something that's being celebrated by the festival? Is that a focus of, okay, great.
One aspect of our festival is also connecting the past, present, and future. So as you can see, WIDO is disappearing because of the aging population. But at the same time, they're the ones who have the memories of the tradition and their festival that initiated in WIDO. So I've shown the very first song that I've shared is part of the ritual that fishermen prayed as a part of the tea boat festival in WIDO, praying for the safe return and bountiful catch. Yeah. So those memories are all there, but we have not had chance to share with a broader public. But through the COVID-19, we have experienced, every one of us have experienced feeling of isolation. And the WIDO symbolize that isolation as a remote island that's hard to reach. And we'd like to share their voice, which has been marginalized and has been forgotten because of the death of the fishing industry.
So it is presenting that marginalized, diminishing or whatever sort of population and reality of that community. So it's not sort of fetishizing. It's not presenting it as something novel or negative or anything. But it is part of the process. This is the question, and the purpose of the festival is to present that environment as it is without kind of, I don't know, a judgmental kind of lens? Is that?
Yeah, we can say so, but not limited to that only.
Yeah.
I mean, there was we have a group called WIDO that has a little wish that there's only 21 students in school in Widow Island. We'd like to see more students coming and living in Widow and celebrate life in that space. However, our festival is not limited to island, and it's not only about the island, but we'd like to share that concept of WIDOVOCE with any form of the arts genre or platform, or the concept is traveling. The concept is about the voices we'd like to share that we don't want to forget.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
There is an international institution called the International Music Council, which is concerned by all music, all kind of music, wherever it is in the world. And there is very few representation of Asian part within that international council. I'm member of the board currently until next December. And I discover, listening to you, that in that institution mainly we have music organizations that are only concerned by economic situation, how to deal with that. And yours is made to, don't forget, that's a voice of humanity. So I think it could be interesting for your organization to get in touch with that organization. And they have a weekly or monthly newsletter, and they can share the news of your festival. So it can be a voice. I don't know how many people it will bring, but it's a way of accessing that network.
Yeah.
And the best would be, of course, it's a network of networks. So it would need a regional network of those kind of festivals or organization, but still as an individual organization, you can get in touch. As you have, I think, a very low budget, it's no cost. It's just to share and have, they are defending the 5 music rights. And the first one is the right for everyone to be able to learn, practice the music of his situation and with no constraint of any kind. So I think it could be something interesting for you.
Yeah. We have a director of the festival joining us today. So after the talk, I'd like to introduce you, many of you, to the director who have created the festival and will create that ripple effect to share that festival with many.
So what is your experience between like a festival? Many of the festival is initiated and organized by the people who are not actually from that very places.
Yes.
And do you see the difference between these two approaches? And do you have any kind of not best practice, but your experience that when you co-working with the locals,
Yes.
just for the people around here? Thank you.
Of course. So it can be political at times. As you can see, it's a remote island. But our director, she, it's a personal story, but she married to a man who were from Widow Island and have a very close local connections because she loved and lived there for a long time. Although they often commute, but it's her second home to live in Widow Island. Having local support is extremely important because without host community welcoming the festival, it's not the festival. Festival should invite all and should be for all. But there are difficulties because as we can see, there's existing festivals in that remote island, including the boat festival, but also there's many different festivals emerging and disappearing as we know. So governance has been a sensitive issue. If there's any local funding, there's a governance group committee to execute that funds together, and the decision-making board that discuss many aspects of the festivals together. So it's not one way, this two-way road that we have to communicate and then discuss and how to see our kind of new identity emerging of the island that may be placed by the festival. So yes, it's I think quite gentle and difficult at times process, I guess, but I think it has been done quite sensitively and with respect.
Oh, with the second questions, because I can see that you are actually trying to do two approach at the same time,
Yep.
to actually have it more accessible by using technology,
Yep.
but at the same time building this connection with the
Exactly.
local
Yeah.
community. So do you see these two things interfering with each other, or do you see these two things can actually complementing each other? How do you connect these two?
I guess it can be both. We are trying to complement what we can deliver through physical and virtual festivals. However, as you can see, despite the technological advancement that has also excluded and isolated many people in the world who has no access to the learning of technology or the digital devices. So we'd like to fill the gap by trying to actively communicate with the local community and understand what is required. So we don't want to oversight local community, although at the same time we'd like to make this festival as globally reaching as possible. It's hard.
Can you share the hard part with us a little bit?
Okay, the hard part.
What is the most obvious challenge when you're trying to bridge these two dimensions at the same time?
I think whether people are open to learn from each other, the willingness to open to listen to different kind of music might be one of the also challenges for local communities. Some they have enjoyed, some might not be what they are used to here. And also for the artists, if they're visiting from outside of Ireland, younger generation, they should be able to understand what might local audience expect from them. So, however, our group of committee members, yes, someone called Seung Kim, he never stops experimenting what can be achieved. So he would like to encourage for us to experiment, keep trying what can be done in multiple ways. But however, those issues are multifaceted and quite complicated. So we have thought a lot about who are our audiences, and then who should we communicate mainly with, but also at the same time, we'd like to try to include as many people as possible in our journey to share. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you very much for your sharing and your presentation. One thing when we do some like an organization, something like this, how I would like to know how can you disseminate your project in quality or some stat things or something like that. Can you share me about that? For example, the number of viewers or online or the people on site participation or something like this. How can you disseminate this? Thank you.
But what we were aiming was actually far from such definition of successful festival. We are not interested in attracting mass, but we want to start small. That's why because we wanted to respect the ecology of the island. We wanted to actually almost make it secret to people in the very beginning to start to launch the festival, and then I think it's really not about how many people have watched our performances, but have actually shared what we're trying to say, whether they were able to understand what we value, and what we would like to share with others. So we'd like to grow as slowly as possible in order to be sustainable. And then this is not about showcasing our technological advancement, but it's more about trying to make sure that what we do can be reached to as far as possible or to the broader community without any barriers, such as any financial barriers or any other physical barriers to enjoy the music. So I know that we are always expected to prove ourselves, don't we? to tell the people how many people have came to our festivals, and whether it's quality or quantity, or how famous artists we have brought to the festival. But it's neither of those benchmarks are influencing our programming or who we are. So at the moment, we are quite free from such requirement. Yes. Yes.
I apologize for this question before I ask it. So you can't keep it a secret any longer.
No.
So how do you protect it? And particularly if there were to be maybe funders who see it as something that they'd like to fund, and then maybe they don't see the same freedom around measures of success. It's this question. I'm sorry about that, but what's the way forward with that?
Yeah.
Maintaining the delicacy or whatever it is. Yeah.
But access to Widow Island,
Yep.
it has barrier itself because there's only 4 ferries per day, can carry a limited number of people. So you wouldn't expect to have a festival in such a place. That's not the intent, So you'd like to make sure that people can easily get to, and then it's convenient, and then it's easy to more affordable and stuff like that. But the Widow, if you don't have a car, you have to take buses and trains and ferries to get to, and then there's not many public transport within the island. I guess I'm sure that gradually the Widow might experience growing tourism and increase the number of visitors and also economic externalities. We like to have a think about how to carefully manage that if we are under such pressure.
Yeah.
But so far, we would like to see a bit of people coming at the moment,
Okay,
because that there's a decreasing fishing industry, and would like to see more people moving to Widow, because it used to be 10,000 people living in that island, but now it's only 800 people living.
So there's some room for growth
I think
with
so.
that. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, yeah, to certain level.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
May I also ask, I can see that, especially in Thailand, you can see a lot of young artists gathering together and kind of like going back to their hometown and create these types of things.
Yeah.
Do you see that as something that is happening in Korea as well?
Yes, it does. Yeah, quite similar. I'm sure that some of our other team member could probably answer better than me, but I think COVID-19 has changed the way we think about our life and then our lifestyle. So there's lifestyle change, and then as I mentioned, 10 million people in Seoul, 25 million people, including the outskirts of Seoul. So there is a lot of crowd. So there's a kind of ways that we are trying to avoid that crowd and find a space to breathe, and then space to have for ourselves. I think that is definitely a trend. Yeah.
I think we definitely should try to find some island
Yes.
in Thailand
Yes.
that we can just go to for this. So I think we can, as usual, we can continue this discussion over at a coffee place. So you can grab a cup of coffee and then come back for the next session 15 minutes later.
Thank you.
And thank you very much, Dr. Boram Lee and the whole team of WIDOVOCE. We would want to be the additional hundreds to the Voce Island. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.